Hey guys, it's Daniel, and today I'm going to be talking about productivity and the toxic, dark, bad sides of productivity. But before we get into this one, I just dropped a new acoustic version of my song Simple, which you can hear here. But some clouds, what goes up must come down. So go stream that, just go show it some love, and yeah, enjoy. So the other day, and I have to stress this, was 3 weeks ago, because I'm not stealing some Sunni Sun video or Faye Bait to just hop on a trend. About three-ish weeks ago, I dropped the video about what I eat in a day, and one of my friends just messaged me after, like, do you ever just sit back and watch Netflix? Because I just can't imagine you just sitting back and just relaxing and enjoying. I can just see you doing work all the time. And no, I don't do work all the time. I hardly get in as much work as like half the people around me, mainly because I don't want to work loads of hours. But then it brought up this thing of productivity and how it could become toxic. Obviously, she wasn't there like, oh my gosh, Dan, he just never stops working and I feel so bad because he's always working. It wasn't like that, but I think ultimately it can lead to that, and it has led to that in quite a lot of people. And that sparks my first point, which is perception versus reality, social media versus real life. So on social media, YouTube, Instagram, we can see pages talking about all these productive things and people posting on their stories about when they're doing revision, what they're doing. Especially if you watch study YouTubers just doing things, they'll be like, oh, today I revised for 10 hours, or today I revised for 16, I don't know. And then, yeah, so you see that, and it's like they could be revising for that amount of time. There's also a good chance they could be inflating their numbers or putting the time of breaks in revision into their numbers. So I could say that I revise for like 2 hours a day when I take a half-hour break and only do 1.5 hours. So the real revision is 1.5 hours. And then also I could add in the time that I spend doing Anki flashcards, which I don't usually add in. I could add in the time that I spend watching YouTube videos outside that are linked to medicine, but it's really passive revision. So for the time, you don't really know what people are doing. They could be doing the worst work of all time that is never going to help them. Well, it is, but it's going to be so much less effective. And then you'll be like, why am I not working that much? Why do I not want to be like these people? Well, you do want to be like these people, otherwise you won't have a problem with it. But it's like, why should you want to be like these people? Like, why do I want to be like these people? Ultimately, you see these things on YouTube and it can be tough, like people doing 100-hour study weeks, which if you don't actually watch the videos can really come across like this is what someone does quite a lot, and this was not a challenge for them to do to rearrange their life, because doing 100 hours of work in a week adds up to you only having, if you sleep for 8 hours a day, that is, only having 1 hour a day when you're not studying, which is just a sad life to be living. Being real, that is the saddest life I could think about. But yeah, and it can come off as just like, why am I not getting 100 hours in? Oh, I only did 2 hours yesterday. Oh, yesterday I was actually feeling very tired, or I was drinking on the weekends with my friends and now I'm hungover, so I can't work. But why couldn't I get in those 100 hours? And then you start to rearrange your life. You're like, oh my gosh, okay, so I gotta take some time off sleeping. I'll take 5 hours of sleep tonight so that I can get in an extra 3 hours of work. And it just becomes a whole sort of toxic cycle that's not really helping you. As a lot of psychologists and sports psychologists specifically would tell you, sleep is like the number one thing if you want to improve on anything. Getting in 8 to 10 hours of sleep a day is going to help you. It is going to bring up your game. Doesn't matter what you're doing, sleep, nobody knows why, but it's an important factor. So when you start thinking about that and you go, okay, I could lose sleep and then I could just revise just to be a bit better, you just lose, really. And I think it's one of those ones, especially in medicine as well, like if you think about the entire medicine, you go through 5 years studying kind of how to be a doctor, but ultimately the whole 5 years until you reach your F1 is how well can you do so you can get a good ranking place, so that when you become a doctor you can get a good ranking job and actually be able to do what you want to do in the place you want to do it. And you're basically competing with everyone in the country in your year. And thinking about it that way, it just sounds like a massive competition. So your brother over there is doing great, he's doing well, and then you're sitting back like, how am I not him? Why can't I do that well? And that can be something for all of life, but I feel like in medicine especially, it gets that way because that's just the way it's been set up. So then ultimately, after going through a long time of just being under this pressure, under this stress, you might end up being burnt out because the toxicity is taking over you. And then you just won't be able to do the little things which will start with like, oh, I can't be asked to like, I don't know, update my computer because that's so long, like, oh, that's so much hassle and fuss. And then it gets into bigger things and you feel like you can't go over the hump. So you've brought yourself to this point where you're doing so much work that you crash. And then another thing that some people might not see is that the fact that they crashed is because they're doing so much work. So you might crash for one day and then you'll be back to it. And then slowly over time, you will end up building a tolerance to that. And you'll basically be in some sort of long burnout. It's what we're calling it. Shout out long coat. And yeah, so you get to this point where you're constantly feeling the effects because you never recovered from the time when you first felt the effects of your burnout. And that would just mean that you're constantly just below what you could be, all because you're not taking a break, you're not resting up enough. And yeah, that is ultimately the final level of toxic productivity, the long burnout. And so realistically, what can we do? Well, we can always go with the classics of Instagram is not life, social media is not real life. Like, I can change anything I want about myself and put it on the internet. Like, it's crazy how people see people on the internet and be like, wow, my life is it's just so terrible. And if you didn't see that, you'd be like, actually, life is pretty good. And it is tough to not compare yourself to other people because we all want to be like best versions. And if you see someone being what you would deem as your best version, but doing it right now, you'd be like, why am I not there? What's going on? Like, oh. So yeah, if it's affecting you, get rid of it. If it's not bringing you joy, cut it out. That doesn't mean this channel though, because if you're still watching my videos, subscribe, because about 50% of people are not subscribed to this channel. But yeah, if it's not bringing you joy on social media, just get rid of it. If you're seeing something that isn't really agreeing with your fundamentals, with the way that you're trying to work through, the way you're trying to live and enjoy your life, just get rid of it. And yeah, hopefully we can all be productive together, all get our stuff done, all take our breaks, you know, just chilling on the weekends. It's a great way to live. So thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy it, please do leave a thumbs up. And yeah, like I said just before, 50% of people who watch my videos aren't subscribed, so hit that subscribe button below. And new video on Friday, stream my song. And yeah, let me know down below in the comment section what you think about toxic productivity, and I'll talk to you in the next video.